Hi, I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Ryan.
and this is the Dusty Controller Podcast. Today, wow, we did no problems there at all.
None at all. Mark the
Or,
calendar. We
oh,
know we actually got it right.
um, I don't know if we will ever again, but we got it right this time.
That's all that matters.
So today we're doing our theme for this podcast is games we love to hate.
No, it's terrible games we love.
Oh, that's later. Never mind.
Yeah. Games we love to hate is
no,
another one.
uh. Terrible games we love. Yes.
Terrible games we love.
Sorry,
Yes.
I got lost for a minute. So basically, either games that these are mostly games that we've played.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff that Ryan's going to talk about, I've never played because I heard they were terrible and I just didn't want to touch them. But so our criteria here is either we felt they were terrible and love them anyway, or the community.
Games that are considered universally bad just in general. Low Metacritic scores. The community loves to rag on them, and oftentimes with good reason.
Yeah. And Ryan's going to do a lot more talking than me, mostly because half the games that I know to go on this list are stuff that's already talked about, and there's an entire block dedicated to this type of game for GDQ, which...
Well, we can still talk about those. I mean, there's nothing saying we can't.
Well, they fit into some of the same categories as what you're going to bring up. So I can bring
Sure.
up some of the games like that.
Yeah,
I also
absolutely.
haven't played most of them. I just watched speedruns of them.
Who cares? That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. If you like watching them, even though we all know they're terrible games, that's totally cool too.
Yeah. There's like a usually like 4 to 8 hour block during GDQ of awful games.
And one of them actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the games that I put on the list is one that actually has showed up at GDQ. Two Worlds by South Peak Interactive.
Yes.
And the reason why this game is so awful, well, there's a lot of reasons. First off, the game does not look good. Like, it has aged very poorly. Jeremy, how familiar are you with Two Worlds?
Slightly. I've seen the speedrun,
Okay.
but it was a few years ago. So I know how... on the subject of speedrunning terrible games, some terrible games that are just terrible for regular play are some of the most beautiful shining gems for speedrunning.
And Two Worlds is one of those examples.
So badly made that they are full of glitches that can make you jump from the first level to the last one with minimal amount of movement.
Or in the case of Two Worlds, the final boss is an NPC in the starting town, and if you draw aggro from him and draw him into the town where he starts attacking you, the villagers will attack him for you. And then when the villagers kill him, you trigger the end cinematic. And
Perfection.
That's the speedrun strat for Two Worlds, and that they've demonstrated. And it's like you can finish the game in like 2.5 minutes, or even shorter, even less, just by virtue of that. It is so dumb. And the more you watch this game, the more you play it. Like, if you actually play it the way it's intended to be played, it is not a good game. I played on the 360, and I get frame rate drops everywhere. Like, the 360 cannot render this game properly. The combat is clunky. The combat is terrible. It is so bad. But at the same time, the character creator, your options are your hairstyle, the length of your torso, the length of your arms, and the length of your legs. That's it. So you can have this person with ginormous arms, short torso, tiny legs, and basically walk around like a fucking gorilla, if you really want to. or you can literally be like a little midget, you know, like short legs, short torso, short arms, and be just this tiny little thing. And you can totally do that. It is so bad. Like, somebody signed off on this. And probably the worst part about the game is that it tries to take itself seriously. It tries to be a serious game. And it fails so hard. Like, it tries to use like that old fantasy English. What?
Was this Oddworld Two Souls?
No,
Or...
Two Worlds.
Two Worlds.
Two Worlds. So like the dialogue tries to be like that high fantasy,
Oh my God.
doth thou
Yeah,
speakest, you know, like that sort of thing. It tries to be like that, and
it's like I remember this game. It's like shitty Skyrim.
It tried to compete with Oblivion, actually.
Yeah.
Skyrim wasn't even in the picture at the time this game came out. This game tried to compete with Oblivion and couldn't even do that. And Oblivion is a buggy godforsaken mess. Let that sink in for a moment. Like, just how bad this game is. And yet at the same time, like, it's so easy to take the piss out of this game. They will be walking around like, say hello to death. Like that's a badass line to say.
And it's like, just looking at the screenshots, I could already tell like why when this game came out I was like, nope.
With good reason.
It meant, if it was meant to like compete with Oblivion, and they did third person like strategy-esque camera angles for combat.
Yeah.
Like, MMO third person, able to like fully top down view.
Why?
I would rather play Divinity.
That's saying something. That is saying something. But no, like, Two Worlds, for whatever reason, I keep going back to it. Because for as shitty of a game as it is, for as terrible as it is, for as clunky as it is, there is something enjoyable about running around that starting area, gathering up a bunch of elemental attack gems. Because you can find like poison damage, and fire, and cold, and lightning damage. And you can infuse just a shit ton of those into a weapon. And so you've got this bow that just does just an absurd amount of lightning damage. And you'll have another bow that do an absurd amount of poison damage. And just you let it all stack up. And then your opponent gets within melee range. You pause the game to switch to your sword, pull that out, and swing at him once, and he's dead. And it's so abusable. And I can't explain why, but for some odd reason, like, that is just, it's fun. It's dumb, and it's mindless fun.
It's the same vein that speedrunning comes from.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you take a game you love or you think has some kind of fun potential, and then you break the living hell out of it.
Yeah. And in that same vein, the potion crafting system is actually really good. As you go around and explore, you'll kill black bears and boars and wild animals, and you'll extract you'll extract their organs, and you'll find plants and minerals that you can then combine into potions. And some of them will give you stat and that gives you, some of them will give you stat boosts. Some of them will recover health. Some of them will poison you and drain your health, but give you a stat boost for a time or whatever. And some of them will give you permanent effect stat boosts, like resistances, or your core stats, or your health, or your mana. And so you can make these potions that then power you up, and you can literally become OP just by drinking a bunch of potions.
So like Witcher.
Yeah. And it's actually a lot of fun. Like, I enjoy that about Two Worlds.
Oh, they made a second one.
They did, and I was working at GameStop when
the first one was successful enough, even though it's terrible.
So here's the funny part. I was working at GameStop when both of them came out, actually. And when they released the second one, so every month, at GameStop, we would have these books that would have like they'd be used for like tracking. The managers would use it for tracking the numbers and all that. And they'd have some game news about upcoming games. Well, South Peak apparently paid GameStop enough money to get a little page at the start of the book talking about Two Worlds 2. And they opened it up, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was along the lines of like, you might have heard we released a game called Two Worlds a while back, but if you didn't play it, that's fine. You can just forget about that game. It doesn't really matter too much. And so like, South Peak, to their credit, recognized that the first Two Worlds was not a good game. And they took what worked in Two Worlds 1, and they kept it in Two Worlds 2. And they took what didn't work in the first, and they removed it in the second, and if they kept it in the second, they lampooned the shit out of it. They had a scene where one of the guys you're talking to tries to use that old high fantasy English, and the main character looks at him and goes, "Dude, what are you even doing? What are you doing?" Like they took the piss out of their own game.
Okay.
And to their credit,
two was like
it was a redemption arc.
Redemption, yeah.
Two Worlds 2 was a redemption arc, and I had
and they even
both
said it looks like an expansion for Two Worlds 2.
And so the sequel was actually a halfway decent game. For whatever reason, I still go back to the first over the second, just because there's something about that like shitty fantasy RPG that tries to play with the big boys that like
is it in similar vein to our last podcast where we talked about Duke Nukem Forever and how it's a shit-tastic game.
And you keep going back to it because of it. Yes, that is exactly it.
And the random fucking things that you can do.
Yes, that is exactly it. That is exactly it. I wanted to talk about Duke Nukem Forever in this one as well, but we already put a whole episode about it, so we'll skip that.
Felt that one needed its own.
It really did. It really did. And if you didn't catch that episode, it's gonna be right up here-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. It'll be up here, and if you're not subscribed to the Dusty Controller podcast, what are you even doing? I mean, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell to get the notifications for whenever a new episode goes live, because you kind of owe it to yourself.
We're planning on doing, what is it, 2 a month?
That's the goal.
Yep.
So
we had some unforeseen circumstances
difficult. Yes. The goal is at least 1 a month and gunning for 2.
Yeah, and if we decide to do more, we do more.
Right, exactly.
But the plan is a minimum of 2 a month.
Yes. But yeah, no, so like that was like, Two Worlds was one of those games that just like really like stood out. Like it was one of the ones that I wanted to cover like right away with this podcast. And one of the other ones was one that you also remember quite a bit, was the Burger King games.
Yes.
So
the Sleuth one sucked.
Sneak King, I think was what it was called.
Yeah.
And then there was like a bumper car one called Big Bumpin'.
And it was, what if I remember it, you only had to pay like $1 for the freaking game, right?
No, you got them for $5 when you bought an extra value meal. So these were quality games to begin with.
Oh yeah, their MSRP $5.
Yeah, so you knew what you were getting right when you got out the gate. The third game was Pocket Bike Racer, which is kind of like a Mario Kart clone. And I'll be honest, I only played Pocket Bike Racer, and I went into it knowing it was a shit game.
I had a few when they were selling them, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
Me and 2 other friends just went and were like, screw it, we'll each buy one of them. So we went around town to the different Burger Kings until we found all 3.
Yeah.
And then we played all of them.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now, the sleuth one is absolutely terrible. It is just a string of like 5 jokes strung together as a mystery, and that's it.
Nice. Fantastic. Did you so I only played Pocket Bike
bumper
Racer, so the
cars
big
were-
bumpin'.
It was, you know how you go to the carnival and you're like, yes, bumper cars, and you spend, they give you a long ride because there's a bunch of people, you know, or it's just you and like 4 of your friends.
Yeah.
After about 20 minutes, the joy and appeal is gone. Now you're just kind of annoyed because you just keep getting bumped into a corner or some shit.
Right.
And the fun of it very quickly dissolves.
That's basically big bumpin'.
Exactly what that game is.
Oh,
It is,
God.
oh cool, let's play bumper cars.
Oh,
20 minutes
God.
later, why the fuck are we still playing this? It added some fun because there were glitchy bits where you could like bounce someone into the air because collision physics, but it took like 3 other people all ramming one person into a specific spot where the textures didn't quite mesh and it would shoot you into the air.
You know what? That's fun though. That's
Finding
fun.
those things were fun, but like I didn't love this game.
I will say though, you have not lived until you have experienced competitive Burger King Pocket Bike Racer. Because for as terrible of a Mario Kart clone as this game is, because it is a pretty terrible game, just saying, there is something absurdly entertaining about watching 4 grown men dressed as a subservient chicken and a Whopper Jr. and a king and some random named NPC duking it out on miniature motorcycles around a Burger King lot.
Yeah,
There is something to be said about just the sheer absurdity of it.
that one was the only one that like held attention for more than 20 minutes.
Yes. And it still has and the online play is still around, so you can still connect to the Xbox Live servers and
Fucking
play
what?
online. Nobody plays it, but you can connect to the servers and it will search for a match. I am tempted to get a group of friends who are as dumb as me to hook up our Xbox 360s and play a match of Burger King Pocket Bike Racer online.
All right, to eBay.
You might even be able to get them at GameStop still. Actually, go stop by Gamerheads over in Southdale. I'm pretty sure Tony's got a couple copies.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
I don't think it works on the Xbox One. I think you have to use a 360.
Yeah, it's a 360.
It does also work on the original Xbox, though. That was the other really interesting thing about the Burger King games, was that they were designed to work on both the original Xbox and the 360. Because they came out...
the fuck, though?
So, the only thing that I can surmise is that they had a header that would check for which version they had. Because functionally they're the same game, but then they would have a profile to load for the original Xbox for controller setup. So they'd have different controller setup profiles, and then they'd have a different bank of textures, I guess. Because
Yeah, because it was only one disc. It wasn't 2 discs.
it was only one disc, and it was a DVD. So I mean, these games are not particularly large games. Let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah, true.
So the way they were designed, I would surmise that they probably had updated. Probably the only difference was, you know, the controller profile and the texture pool that they drew from.
I just found all 3 of them on a listing on eBay for $6 for all 3 of them sealed.
You know what? You might as well fucking do it and just keep them sealed, and then get a separate package to actually play.
Like, and if these seals are in good condition, I am tempted to send them off for grading. If they
You know
are
what?
in like tip-top condition just to say I have graded versions of these fucking games.
Do it. Just do it.
Like,
I mean, it's so dumb, but
it
why
is,
the fuck
man,
not?
I would totally like list them on eBay or some shit and be like, you know,
I have
they're
graded Burger
graded
King games. Come at me, bro.
if they come out graded as like 9s and 10s, just be like, you know, it's $100 a game or some shit. Oh.
They've been graded. Come at me, bro. It's so dumb.
I'm gonna think about this.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
God.
think about this. Because then I find another thing for them sealed condition for $249.
Somebody as high as a kite.
Oh. No, it is that expensive. Because it is buying literally a box of each box containing 62 copies.
What?
Should we fucking buy this?
I'll give it a week and then I'll think about it. Give me a week to think about it. That is so dumb.
And you could, at that price.
Who's buying them though? Let's be honest.
The thing is, selling them at $2 a pop, and you'd still make a profit. Because technically, if you sold all of them and got all of them to sell at $1 each, you would have a profit. Because there is, oh no, it'd have to be $2 to $3 each, because it's $249 plus shipping, and there's 186 of them.
Yeah, you need at least 2.
But still, I would
get them graded. Get them graded first.
Get them graded, and then I would just, as a total fucking joke, go to like a video game exchange like event, or like, you know, a vendor room, and just have an entire table of just those 3 games graded. And you know that a graded copy of the Pocket Bike Racer would probably sell.
It probably would.
Somebody would be like,
that's the worst part.
Yeah, the other 2 I don't think would.
The worst part is, I would be the person that would buy it.
Be able to have it on the wall and say, yeah, I have a graded copy.
That is so dumb.
And to reference, we've been talking about some of these games. The Big Bumpin', I said about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The podcast at this point currently is at about
23:56.
Yeah. So think a game you spent $5 on only entertaining you for that amount of time.
And we're doing it here for free. Come at me, bro.
Like, subscribe, and ring that bell if you want to know.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Another episode.
There you go.
You know, it felt like a perfect time to do that, you know.
Perfect timing.
Just a plug. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Just saying, though. I'm just saying. Yeah, no, that was, like, that was, those games, though, let's be honest, people still talk about them, and they came out 17 years ago. Those games came out in 2005. It is 2022, and we're still talking about them. And I still pull Pocket Bike Racer out when I go to conventions.
Yeah,
And people will play it.
Because you and I we've basically we met
through anime conventions, yeah.
And working in video game rooms where we would donate our consoles for use for that weekend, so our game collections would come along. But knowing you, it's one that's packed in your luggage for a con that you don't work at if you go. Because you just walk in the game room and go, hey, you guys want to play this shitty game? And people will flock over to it. Because it's just, it's a grand old time. I hate Pocket Bike Racer because truthfully, there's only, again, about 20 to 30 minutes of enjoyment. Because there's, what is there, like, I think there's 2 tracks? 4? And they're all basically, they're just parking lots.
No. Is it sad that I know this?
I mean, we're talking about this game.
We are talking about this game. We are going to talk about this game. There's the Burger King parking lot. Oh, there's more than more than 4. There's a skyscraper.
Oh, that's right.
There's the suburbs. There's the Fantasyland. Like the suites and the farm, like a farm suite, like Candyland kind of vibe. There's the castle. I feel like there's another one.
Okay, so then I didn't play all the tracks.
I feel like there's another one. No, it's just 5. It's 5.
Okay. Then it was, we must have gotten bored after like 3 tracks.
Yeah, I mean,
because there wasn't really like combat in it.
Oh yes, there was. You could pick up like bottle rockets and like teleporters and speed boosts. Oh yeah.
I think we just sucked.
Yeah, you probably just sucked. Yeah.
And we would rather play Mario Kart.
That too. I mean, like realistically, like that was the other big thing was, the joke was riding around as a Whopper Jr. And that joke only lasts so long.
Yeah.
That and the subservient chicken. Like everybody, the jokes are the subservient chicken and the Whopper Jr. Like those are the ones that like people like, oh my god, that's funny as shit. And you ride around for a track or two and like, okay, this is dumb. I'm moving on.
But like, knowing the amount that went into making the game, like I'm gonna guess there wasn't like different weight class characters, there wasn't different CC bikes.
There are different CCs, and all that really changes is your acceleration and your top speed.
Okay.
And there are different bikes as well. And there are different bikes with acceleration, top speed, and handling stats.
So they at least put effort into it, actually having like some of the key pieces of an actual racing game.
To their credit, they really did put some effort into it. Like surprisingly so. And I think that's partially part of why it is as enjoyable, why it does have this staying power, is that you can tell that they at least put some effort into it besides the dumb jokes.
Yeah. This fucking colic in my beard.
Oh, the mask beard. You got that? Yeah.
And then it like all pulls off to this side because of the mask.
Yep. But
you gotta get a straightener for it again.
So another game that I wanted to cover, another game that we put on the list that we wanted to cover, New World, kind of a more recent one.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because New World did have a lot of promise, and you can see that there's a lot of great ideas and a lot of great development concepts put in. It's just
it came out at such an opportune time.
It did, and the marketing was perfect. It was just enough to get people interested in it. And let's be honest, I got into it because of a friend, and then I dragged your ass in.
Yeah, you literally bought my copy.
I dragged you into it because a friend of mine was playing. I was watching a friend playing. I'm going, okay, this looks cool. I'm gonna go pick it up.
And then I literally, in like the first week, played
And you rocketed past
I
me.
zoomed through. I'm still a higher level than you.
There's a reason for that. I stopped playing it a while ago.
Yeah. Oh no, when we stopped playing, I was like 3 times your level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I played it hard. I had
Well-
just stopped playing WoW. I wanted a new MMO. I didn't want to turn to 14 because that's where everyone was going.
And
And
not
so
only
there-
that, but like the way that it was set up, you buy the game once and there's no subscription fee. And they're relying on Daddy Bezos money, so they got cash to burn.
Yeah, and
As long as people are playing, it doesn't matter. And you didn't have to spend all your time on the main story quests. You could just go run around and gather a bunch of stuff and craft and level up.
I think why we love New World is on the fact that the gameplay isn't bad.
It's
for
really
most
not.
of the game.
The
Once
core
you get
gameplay loop is not bad. Yeah, the combat was decent.
Yeah, and it had growing pain issues of boundary issues when if there are specific areas in the later 30 plus level areas
Yeah.
where forts when a battle would take place to take a fort
Mm-hmm.
hour before the war and an hour after there is an entire boundary that you cannot enter unless you're invited.
Oh, what?
Thing that they didn't consider when making those boundaries, that there are active quest points inside those boundaries.
That's
that
Game
now
Dev
players
101.
Get to.
That's Game Dev 101. Like, wow, did they missed it that hard?
Yeah, quests of it was the rando board quests where it's go kill so many of these. The area it takes you to, you can't enter if there's a war.
Wow.
The boundaries would cut through the middle of a building.
What?
Yeah. If there were buildings nearby for an enemy encampment, it could cut the camp in half. I had a war start while I was in one of those buildings.
Oh no!
And I got trapped inside it because the exit for the building was inside the barrier. So I had to teleport out.
Oh no!
Now, I will say, they gave that teleport function with no cost. The unstuck feature in a game that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
While the gameplay was the right thing for the time. Its design is not bad, its concept is not bad. Its coding and
the business execution.
They have it run.
The business execution was the problem. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
that was the big problem.
And why there was constantly, and still is, all these gold exploits, item duplication, is so most MMOs.
The invulnerability bug. The invulnerability bug.
Most MMOs will have the assets of the game saved to your computer, all the textures, all of that kind of thing. And the engine and it reporting what you're doing to the server is all handled on their system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're running the engine, but you're connected to them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas New World, what they did was made it so that all of those values, all the values of your character, all the values of your money and what you're doing is running on your computer, and then periodically reports that to the server. So if you know the timing of those reports, you can change what is sent and double items, up your gold, all kinds of things like that. And every time they'd fix one of those problems, because of the system being the all of that information being stored locally, there's always another way to change it.
That's MMO Dev 101. Let's be honest.
I understand why they did it though.
Yeah.
They didn't have a huge server, so they built a game that could run without them having to run massive servers.
But they're backed by Amazon. Amazon
Yes,
has servers. Amazon has lots of servers.
They didn't want to use them for the game.
Oh, bullshit.
Amazon Games has its own set of servers and only has so much usable.
That is so dumb. Like, from a business perspective, that is so dumb. Because this, honestly, that would have been a prime marketing strategy for Amazon AWS. If Amazon Games is using AWS to host the servers for New World, and they're making this AAA tier MMO, you got a indie dev that wants to make an MMO but doesn't want to have to deal with the infrastructure of buying and owning all the servers. Lease a bunch of AWS because they saw that New World did it and was able to do it just fine.
Yeah, and it would have sold more of their servers.
That is prime intra-business collaboration at its core, and the fact that Amazon couldn't even figure that shit out.
Well, they also couldn't figure out that it was a bad idea to base the entirety of the game's economy off of just the players.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely a problem too. But
even something as simple as your faction every week resets to only owning X amount of territories.
And you have to spend a whole lot of money and resources to capture and claim those other territories.
The only servers that I had an actual enjoyable experience on for New World, and I'm thinking of going back and playing more on one of the side servers I played on, because so Ryan and I ended up on a server that had because we started playing like release day.
Yeah, I think I was like day 2. I think I started day 2, I think.
Yeah, and I started day 3.
You were a couple days after me.
But so the server we were on, by the end of week 1, had the max amount that could be logged into the server was 2,000, or max amount of players assigned to the server was 2,000.
And we hit that cap, so nobody could create new accounts.
And by the end of that first week, the average amount of players online at any time within a 24-hour period was like 110,000. No.
Oh.
On our server, we only had 110 active players by the end of the first week.
Because people had logged on, tried it, and then buggered off.
And because they weren't playing, other people could make a character on that server. It wasn't.
So it was a bit of we were stuck with a stagnant. We were stuck with a stagnant population.
We were stuck with a stagnant population. We were stuck with a shit-off economy because that first week, by the design of the game, those who were able to play a ton created guilds that just took over the whole map and then controlled the whole economy.
And especially with was it the Whisperwood or the starting zone, the starting city that we both started at, that was controlled by the Marauders, which was the green faction. We were both green.
Yeah.
And so like that wasn't much of a big deal, but the faction, the company that controlled that starting city was basically absent. Once you got outside of that,
what a bunch of the guilds that controlled all of the territories for the first few weeks, and this happened not only on our server, but most of them, was those main guilds would tax the living crap out of everything rake in butt tons of money because they were waiting on, and did, when server transfers happened, cleared the guild coffers, and everyone moved over to other more well-rounded servers. They literally just used a bunch of people used side servers to build up a huge amount of wealth, and then fuck off, so they're rich on a server that didn't get screwed. Leaving tons of servers with little to no money in the economy, and
what money was around was getting removed due to bugs.
Yeah, and that's why everyone turned to duplication and everything, because the entire basis of that game on getting most of the equipment or things you need, everything costs money. Forging, anything. So you need money to be able to progress. And the game doesn't hand out much money.
Just little bits here and there.
The game was designed for you to take things that you've gotten as drops and everything, and use the trading posts to buy and sell to make money.
And what you could get a little bit of money here and there from some of the humanoid enemies would occasionally drop money.
Yeah,
but it was not very much at a time.
And there is no place for you to go and take your equipment and sell it other than the auction house. There's no NPC shops.
Wasn't there? I thought there were a couple that you could buy stuff. Oh, you could buy but not sell, right? Yep,
you couldn't sell anything.
So where did money come from in the first place then? So it was just from enemies, just from the humanoid and the quests.
Yeah, and quests. Quests gave an okay amount of money.
That's right. Yeah. And didn't the portals and the rifts, whatever?
I believe so. Yeah.
Didn't the chest give gold?
There were ways to do it, but all of that's locked past like level 15.
Yeah.
So you have all these people starting
that have no idea what the fuck's going on,
and they go to buy a simple health potion, and it costs 3 times the amount of money they've gotten by level 10. Because the market is that fucking desperate. So they just
economics professors need to go research what went down in New World, because I'm sure there's some fascinating case studies to be had.
Yeah, because there was no base price for an item. You know, in WoW and Final Fantasy 14 and most MMOs, you can go to a shopkeeper, and even though you could get like 1 million gold for an item on the boards or at a auction house and stuff, you could sell it to that shopkeeper for like 200 gold. There was still a base price for every item.
Right.
In New World, the people who controlled those areas set the amount of money for it. And so it just made it so that whoever had the most of anything, it's just all capitalism. You made a
those greedy capitalists
Revolutionary War era MMO in a fantasy island with capitalism.
It wasn't Revolutionary War. It was more the Age of Exploration. I thought the Spanish conquistadors.
They use that, but when you look at the technology used,
oh, fair, yeah, that is more Revolutionary War era technology. Yeah. That is
so
that's true.
Even get the era right.
Yeah, they couldn't even get that. Jeez. I will say though, the game is very pretty.
It's a beautiful game. The gameplay itself is amazing.
I could spend hours just going around, just logging and gathering, and I did that.
And the fact that it had the different experience pools, or had experience pools for different types of actions, it's huge. It has all of the makings of a really, really good MMO. It's just servers were handled poorly. The economy of the servers were not... There wasn't a stopgap in place of these things at minimum will cost this.
I wonder what Amazon Games is gonna do with it now that all the hype has died down. If they're gonna keep it, or if they're just gonna shutter it.
They've merged a bunch of, because I stopped playing after you did.
Yeah, long after I did. Yeah.
Yeah, they merged a bunch of the servers.
Okay.
So that there's higher populations.
Okay.
And then they just kind of stopped. I didn't really get any new updates on like anything happening other than, oh, here's now the next expansion.
Yeah, I heard about that, and
they've done 2 expansions already.
What?
Well, okay, named. I'm calling them expansions. They're named patches.
Okay, with content drops in them.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
So,
yeah. All right.
I guess not quite expansion. It would be better to say named patch, because that, it's an actual content update.
Yeah.
But and I've heard from some of the people I'm still in contact with from some of the guilds that I was in that it's okay.
Okay.
A bunch of them hop ship to try Lost Ark.
I heard Lost Ark is pretty fantastic. I've heard good things about Lost Ark. I'm hesitant to go at it because of what happened at New World.
Here's the thing with Lost Ark. But I guess before we go off on a tangent about Lost Ark, he and I have discussed this because we played New World together. We loved the things that you can do in New World. The gameplay itself. It's beautiful landscapes. There's a good difficulty curve on the enemies. However, the entire game is fucked up and broken just because of mismanagement
and poor business decisions.
Yeah, and Lost Ark also falls into this category.
Oh no!
Because they mismanaged it just as badly in the first 2 weeks.
Oh no! Oh no!
So, had a pre-release event where people could go in and play, and it was like a 4-day stint, and it ended like 2 days before the game released. Pretty cool. Anyone who played during that time, the server that they were in was locked and not allowed to have new players on it, because the decision was made that they didn't want all these people who had already hit like level 20 or more to be in servers where everyone was just starting out. So then all these people who had played previously made new characters on servers to play with their friends,
and ignored their pre-release characters.
And then after the first week, they took all of those higher pop servers that had people who'd been playing the game for a week and did the same thing.
Really?
Yep.
So what I'm hearing is I dodged a bullet.
Yes, and I guess the broader topic I'm getting to with this is Amazon Game Studios needs to rethink how they're doing things like this, because
I think they really need to reevaluate a lot. Sounds like
they need to reevaluate what they consider a max cap for a server.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than just doing shit like that, tweet out and ask the fucking community.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. A lot of people you hear a lot of like, oh, don't listen to the gamers. They're just a bunch of angry. There's a bunch of angry hooligans that'll just smash everything and blah blah blah. Yes and no. Gamers are very, very passionate
for this game. Like,
if we're paying you for an experience and that experience does not live up to expectations, we're going to make comments about it. But at the same time, we're not going. A lot of times we're making comments because we want to see it succeed, and it's not like oh, this dev sucks. There's a bunch of big mistakes that have been made there are serious issues, and I have serious misgivings about XYZ. These are problems that need solutions. I might not have those solutions, but here's, start with this, and then we'll from there.
Yeah, exactly. If Lost Ark and New World are still around in a year,
I give it 6 months.
I will gladly log in and reserve review of it until I've played for a while to see how different it is.
Yeah.
And if they did fix those mistakes. There's been a lot of games that released, like even WoW.
Yeah. World of Warcraft had a lot of issues at launch. And every time they drop an expansion, they still manage to DDoS, the fans still manage to DDoS the servers.
Yeah.
And you would think after how many content expansions has Blizz done now? You would think by this point they would allocate extra servers on launch weekend to handle the login. You would think they would add their infrastructure so that they could actually support their community. They know that the people they have the pre-order numbers.
Yeah. Also, yes, it was problematic the way that Final Fantasy XIV did the Endwalker.
Yeah.
Where they capped so that they did it so they didn't get DDoSed. So the way their server stuff is set up is you have your computer, you log in, you then connect to world selection, or basically universe selection.
Yeah.
And then from there you then enter into one of those, and then you enter a queue to log in. They capped so there is no cap on the login queue. However, they capped the amount of people who could access the world select.
Oh, interesting.
At one time.
Interesting.
So if too many people were trying to enter into that, you would get blocked and the game would shut down because
instead of making a queue for that.
Yes, because it would have been too much of a load. The thing was, it only took once or twice of getting that error for you to get in.
But people didn't understand that.
No, everyone understood that. They very much were transparent in what they were doing before Endwalker dropped.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that helps.
There would be some issues in logging in.
Okay.
What they didn't was that once in and trying to log into your server, how insanely long those queues would be.
Oh.
The longest queue time that I ever had was 600,000 people.
Wow. Because I know when the Path of Exile's most recent season league things dropped last month, a buddy of mine that I stream with, that also streams, we streamed the new content, and I had a queue of I was like 25,000, and he was like 33. But I mean, once the queue got moving, it was zip, zip, zip,
For times, I'm scrolling through my Final Fantasy Discord
now
to find all the screenshots from back in that time. I'm almost there. Insert Jeopardy music.
Do. We don't need a copyright claim.
Technically, because we are making the noise, it is considered our creation or our rendition.
And it still can be copyrighted. It's weird. Public performance laws are weird like that. But yeah, no. No, that and you raise a good point though about like the queues being as ridiculously long as they are, like that's huge too.
But the way, oh sorry, 6,000, not 600,000.
Okay.
The largest screenshot I saw was 600,000.
Okay.
So instead of just saying, if you can't get in because the queue's too long, you're just wasting your game time, Square Enix, because of the issues for the first 3 weeks after release, gave everyone who had active sub time during that time an additional 2 or 3 weeks of sub time.
That's huge. That's huge. Like, that's awesome. That's really good.
Never in a million years do I think Blizzard would have ever done that for WoW.
Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest.
Or do I think Amazon Game Studios would do that for any of theirs if they had
No,
sub?
never. No, not at all.
That's huge. That's saying, no, like, we care about you and respect you and your money. We did not expect this hardcore of a release.
Yeah.
Because I found out by playing 14 that a huge amount of people are still like 2 expansions behind just because there's
That's
so
true.
much content in that game to do.
There
isn't the storyline.
There is a lot of content in 14.
And there's an entire social network-esque thing in 14 where people just come in to chill with other people at their houses and other things.
Yeah.
There'll be random places and cities that'll be a streamed concert of a bard playing music.
Ha! I love it. I love it.
Like, there's so much to it, and when you as a company are trying to enter an MMO space,
Yeah,
and you're facing against World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, and I'll include RuneScape with this too.
yeah, because RuneScape is still a thing.
If you can't, hack it and have a game fail in that space, you're kind of fucking yourself.
You kind of are. Actually, yeah.
I mean, look at what has happened to World of Warcraft just because, not because it's a bad game, but because the publishing company is going to shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad that Blizzard's going to shit. I mean, for what those people have done, like, I want Blizzard to survive.
Yeah.
But Blizzard needs to be a different company.
It really does. It really does. I got my own stories. I've got my own beef with Blizz. That's a story for another time. But I did want to pull up another. Do want to kind of move on to the next topic. Another fun but like not good game. And this is another one going back in time a bit. Did you ever play a game called Mega Race?
No.
It was mainly DOS, Windows 3.1. It was a CD-based game. So that was one of like the big things. And it was that early FMV where you'd record a person standing in front of a green screen and then superimpose them onto a digitized, pre-rendered background sort of thing. And the entire premise of this game is that it's like Mega Race.
Okay.
And so you are this contestant on a game show called Mega Race. And the host is this guy, Lance Boyle, who talks to you about the tracks and these slime balls that are clogging the city streets, and you're going in to clean them up, but it's not real, it's all virtual. And like the guy that plays Lance Boyle is like, he plays up the skeevy, unctuous, like sleazy 70s game show host in all the right ways, with this paisley blue this light blue blazer with a magenta button-down shirt, balding, like that balding top with like a little bit of hair left, but not a lot. Like, he looked like a skeevy slime ball of a host, and you love him for it. And like the actual gameplay is incredibly simplistic. You got 3 laps around this track, and there's enemy cars in the area. And so you've got these guns equipped to your car, so you can shoot at the enemy car to reduce their health, or you can bump into them or push them into the wall so they grind up against the side and basically reduce all their health that way. And there's these different, and after you beat a level, you get to keep the boss's car and use it as your own.
Okay. Premise sounds good.
It's
like shitty, but like it could be fun.
And that's like what, and that was the thing about it. It was a terrible premise. Gameplay was good enough to keep you wanting to play it, and it was one of those games that you had at like the after school club on their really shitty Packard Bell. That
one of those games that like back in so some of you who may be watching or listening may not be old enough to remember this, and we're gonna date ourselves pretty hard with this.
Very hard.
Did you ever rent video games from like? Did you ever check them out from the library or rent them at like Blockbuster?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We not from the library, but definitely from like Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Mr. Movies, stuff like that. Yeah.
So to me, the premise was enough that like looking, I kind of like judging games by like if I would rent it from a rental shop.
This was a PC game, so you couldn't rent it.
But like if you saw it sitting there on the shelf, it's intriguing enough that you'd pick it up and rent it for a day.
Yeah. And the artwork, like, because I first played it at an after-school club when I was in elementary school, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And the game was already a couple years old by that point. And everybody loved Mega Race at this after-school club. Like, that was the shit. Like, everyone was like, Mega Race is so cool, sort of thing, as kids usually are. So I begged my parents to pick up a copy, and they actually found one eventually at Comp USA.
Oh my god!
How's that for a throwback? So the box art for Mega Race, and I'll pull up a picture here. Let me see. Actually,
I'm looking at the box art right now.
It's like that 80s synthwave kind of vibe.
The vibes it gives me, like if I saw this cover today, it would be, so I'm racing Hot Wheels.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Like winding tracks through the air, like
with guns and lasers and what's not to love. Yes, we're gonna put the box art up here so you can see this. Like this game, like it looks the part.
And after we leave the box up for a minute, box art up, then we're gonna show a few screenshots of gameplay.
Yes. Oh, we're gonna have screenshots of gameplay all throughout, video clips and screenshots throughout this entire thing. So everything we've talked about prior, it's already gonna be in here.
It didn't only come out on PC.
I see that it was also on the 3DO as well, and Sega CD.
Sega CD, which means depending on price, we may be able to acquire a copy on CD.
Oh, I already have it.
Oh, you do?
It's on Good Old Games. It's on GOG.
I was thinking to play it on one of the retro consoles. I know Sega CD games tend to be very expensive just because they're rare.
Yeah.
But some of the like lower titles, you can get one for like $80.
But Mega Race is a cult classic though.
True.
So Mega Race is going to be one of the harder ones to get. Let me look just for the laughs here. I was going to search for just Mega Race in general and just see what I get. Assuming my browser doesn't crash on me. There it is. All right, good.
I don't know the validity of the site.
So here's Sega CD for $60. PC for 20. PC for 18. Wow, here's a complete inbox for $350. Wow. Huh. But
And we're serious collectors, so we usually only go for complete in box.
yeah. But no, so here's the crazy part about this game, for at least from my memories of this. Our Windows 95 computer was too powerful to run the game properly at the proper clock speed. So the video, like the video cinematics would work fine. The game, the video would play fine. The audio would be like, you know, sort of sounds. The gameplay was fine. The gameplay was fine. Like, you get into the menus, it works fine. The cinematics did not work for shit. So I had no idea about any of the plot to Mega Race for the longest time. Yeah.
So, like, it's not only a shitty game, but you had to experience with it with even more shitty stuff.
With no context whatsoever.
So you're just seeing this weird ass dude going,
but no, see, the thing is, the video would render properly, so you could see the mouth flaps.
Like, right, but you're not hearing any of things, so you have no idea what he's saying.
Nope.
And he's just flailing around and flapping his mouth as he goes into a maniac. Oh, God. No wonder you have a love for this game, though.
Right? Like, it's like you know, and like when it comes to, like, you know, those terrible games we love, like, this is like quintessential, like, terrible.
They made 3 of them.
Yes.
My God.
Yes, they made 3 of them. Yeah.
And the Wikipedia article on this is just nothing.
Yeah. That's the crazy part about it too. It's just, yeah, there's like nothing there.
It's crazy.
So
we can't finish it out, this list of terrible games we love, without mentioning games that came with cereal boxes.
Yes.
There were a lot of really, really shitty games that came with cereal boxes in the 90s and 2000s.
A lot of them, yes.
However, some of them were so terrible you fell in love with them.
Chex Quest is probably one of the more popular ones.
And I'm gonna be weird and pull out one that was, I don't know, I know why I played it a shit ton, because it was like one of the only games that at the time because most of the games that I played growing up were either on our NES or on the computer, and it was shareware games.
Right.
And when shareware kind of stopped really being a thing, and everything went from being floppy disks to CDs, we didn't have a lot of stuff new to play.
So you're playing as so you're playing which game again?
Captain Crunch's Crunchling Adventure.
Crunchling Adventures.
Literally, the game consisted of a bunch of mini games.
Okay.
You build and design a Crunchling. There was an ad campaign for Captain Crunch for a while in the like early 2000s or late 99.
Okay.
In 99 is when the game came out.
Okay.
So you design a Crunchling.
Okay.
And then you do a bunch of mini games to raise its stats so you can beat bosses that's all Captain, the enemy, I guess, that you would fight or who you'd race against or do whatever.
Okay. You fight against Captain Crunch.
So you play as your Crunchling going against Captain Crunch.
Okay.
In races, in basketball-esque things where you're throwing berries into volcanoes and going through a jump puzzle that is a datascape, and all of these raise your stats, and you feed it crunch berries. You feed it Captain Crunch to raise its stats.
Because of course they need a tie-in. Oh God.
That's the game.
That's it. That's the game.
It's just mini games to there's not like some end goal boss or anything. It's just.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the entire point of like the Rabbids games?
Kind of.
I think I know where they got their inspiration from.
But like, the whole time Captain Crunch is being encouraging as you're trying to beat him.
Of course he is.
But like, it was so stupid and monotonous. But for some reason, I constantly found myself playing.
Interesting.
No idea why. I loved it.
Huh.
I think part of it was that it was a well-rounded set of mini games that we got for free with cereal.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a young kid, it's like so much of like what you get was just. Well,
yeah, I was not.
You didn't really have. We don't really have money. We can't really go out and buy our own things. So you get a free thing in a cereal box. Like, this is awesome. This is great. It could be terrible. We're like, I got it for free, and it came with my cereal. Okay, this is cool. This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and then it was. I think the other thing with it was a shared experience because of my little brother and my little sister. It was age appropriate for them to play.
And when you were at school, your friends were probably playing it as well.
No. Most of my friends didn't have computers.
Oh yeah, that'll do. That would do it. Yeah.
Like, you think now, like everybody has a computer.
Yeah, back then, not so much.
Late 90s, it was something that, like, if you didn't need it for like daily tasks, you just go to the library to use a computer.
If the library even had a computer.
And that's why there's like, they're still around weirdly.
Yeah.
Like, copying places.
Yeah.
Like a business front.
Yeah.
It still weirds me out that those places still exist.
You know what'll really weird you out? When you go to Japan, you go into a 7-Eleven and see a fax machine.
That actually makes sense because it's a very, very efficient way to transfer data.
They don't use email. They don't use email nearly as much in Japan. It's still fax machines for almost all business communication.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just, I felt like this one needed to be mentioned just because it was, specifically for me, it was this weirdly loved game, and then I just made, like, the minute I'd max out the stats on one, I just start another one.
Yeah,
it was a weird hyper focus.
But it had high replay value for you. Yeah. And
for a 9-year-old, that was like the biggest thing in the world because I realized this came out in '99. All I had was a computer and an NES. I didn't get a PS1 until I was 12. So,
and piggybacking on the cereal boxes, Chex Quest. I was allowed to play Chex Quest, but not Doom, because it was cereal and it was slime aliens and not satanic demons. And that was the only justification, but it was enough for me.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, that one was actually pretty well done.
Yeah, and like, I guess go into a little bit of what Chex Quest was for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, so Chex Quest was a conversion of Doom that was basically serial oriented, and you're landing on this planet, and there's slime aliens everywhere, and you got to go use your Zorcher to teleport them to another dimension. Like that.
So you play Chex.
Yeah, you play as a Chex square. Yeah. It is that dumb.
But it's just basically like Duke Nukem or Doom.
Yeah, that's basically it.
It's funny that most of these terrible games we love are just clones of another.
Pretty much, yeah. That's basically it, yeah.
It's the Costco, the Walmart knockoff brand.
The blue light special, yeah.
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 Blue light special.
The blue light special at Kmart. Almost as good and a whole lot cheaper.
Speaking of this older stuff, since we're on a slight nostalgia trip about it, remember when Walmart had a mascot?
The smiley face, yeah.
Yeah, the rollback dude.
Yeah. Wow, there's a throwback.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kmart, I think. Yeah, Kmart had a mascot. It was just this K with legs and arms.
Yeah, that's right. That was a
It
thing
was
for a while.
very,
That was a
very
thing for a
short.
while. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Target never did. No, they have the dog. They have the dog.
They've had Spike for a while, or Spot. Yeah,
Spike, yeah.
Spot. Yeah,
I
Spot.
remember.
Yep. See, Spot safe.
But yes, that ad campaign died out.
Pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah, it did. Which
Oh,
one?
the horrible game that I love. Pepsi Man.
Pepsi Man, dude, that was the prototype for the Endless Runner.
Yes, absolutely
Terrible
horrid.
game. I
Horrid
love
game.
I love watching it. People play it though. Yeah, it's a great game, and never came stateside.
And the was it the Super Nintendo? I think Superman game.
Oh god, you're thinking N64.
Yeah, the N64
Flying through the
Superman.
rings. You actually like that? You
No,
heathen.
it is an awful
You
game,
heathen.
but I fucking love it.
You are probably the only person in the world that can actually play it.
No, there are speedrunners.
Oh god. Oh god.
They
Oh boy.
there's been a
Ugh.
few runs at GDQ.
Oh boy. God. Well, we should probably wrap this one up here.
Yeah, we've been going for probably a little over an hour.
Yeah, it's about that time to wrap it up. Want to thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you are following, you're subscribed on YouTube, and hit that bell to get notifications whenever we post a new podcast. All of our music has been provided by Stream Beats by Harris Heller. You can get a whole bunch of great music from chiptune to lo-fi to rock, all of it copyright free and safe to use for your live streams, your podcasts, your YouTube videos, and they're making new music all the time. Check out Stream Beats by Harris Heller on YouTube, Spotify, and also on streambeats.com. And once again, I am Ryan.
And I'm Jeremy.
You can find all of our links for our social media down below. And this has been the Dusty Controller Podcast.
Thanks for letting us blow some of this dust off of these old controllers.
Yes. All right. Have a good one, guys.